So hello, everyone, and happy Victory Day. If you've been here for any amount of time, then you know that on the 17th of every month, we honor the entirety of this day as a personal day of victory for each and every one of us. And so on this particular day, I want to hopefully locate you with where you are right now in your life. My prayer is that this word would resonate for each and every one of you. And I think it's important for us to know where we are and to be accurate in our assessment of where we are, because from the understanding of where we are, we can navigate with more clarity and more conciseness on where we are going. And so right now, I believe that for most of us, we are in this time of being in the in-between. We are in the in-between. We can see and we know that we made the escape from the old, from the oppression, from the bondage, and we are very clear on the unfolding of the new. Biblically, in the Bible, I believe that I believe that the in-between was what the Bible called the wilderness. The wilderness in the Old Testament was where the children of Israel were to worship God. It was their escape from Egypt, from the bondage, from the oppression. In the New Testament, the wilderness is where Jesus is led by God before he starts his ministry. And so I call the in-between the wilderness. The reason why I think it's important to navigate and assess this correctly is, for me, church has always called the wilderness a bad place. The wilderness has always been, just this kind of demonized place. And truth be told, for the children of Israel, the wilderness was a place of the miraculous. The issue was the fact that they were cursed there, and they were cursed there because of their own resistance of going into the new. But overall, the wilderness was not a bad place. Now, here's what I want to say, and this is what I want to let you know. Just like the children of Israel, the in-between can become a place where we find ourselves stuck and stagnant and not moving, but it is like those people because of our own limitations. They were so full of what they had been through. They were full of the oppression. They were full of the pain. They were full of the hurt. They were scared and they did not know who they were. They were not equipped on moving into anything new. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you the biggest barrier for these people. And I want to say this really boldly and really loudly. When you go into the new, just like with these people, there is going to be opposition that you have to go through in your new. They got scared because when they went to look at and assess this new place that God had for them, there were really big people there, people that scared them, people that the Bible referred to as giants. They had to overcome things in the new, things that they felt like was so big and too much that they wanted to go back to the old. And the good news is for them and for us was that they could not go back to the old. So the worst that it was going to get is them still not being in the oppression, them still not being in the pain. But God said, you can stay here. You're going to stay here. Another thing about being in the in-between. The in-between is not supposed to be a place where we are for a long time. For the children of Israel, the travel time from Egypt to Canaan, the Bible says, was 11 days. The Messiah was in the wilderness for 40 days. This is not supposed to be a long time. This is supposed to be a time of excitement. This is supposed to be a time of expectancy. This is supposed to be a time of being equipped. Jesus was led by God in his in-between. And yes, like the children of Israel, Jesus met opposition in the wilderness. He met the opposer in the wilderness. And the thing that is instinctive for me, the thing that I lean into is that just like the children of Israel, the very first thing that the Bible says that Jesus is challenged on is his identity. But unlike these people who did not know who they were, who considered themselves to be weak, ineffective, so full of what they had been through, Jesus was very solid and very strong on who he was. And when you don't know who you are, you make yourself susceptible to being stuck in the in-between. We're very clear on the ops. We're very clear on the opposition. We want God to handle the opposition. We want God to deal with what we're going through. When the truth of the matter is, we ourselves have no strong understanding. We have no authority. We have no clarity on who we are, on our peace, our joy, our strength. Nothing in us. We're very clear on they could see the giants, but they could not see themselves. They refer to themselves as grasshoppers. They consider themselves to be, we can't go there. We can't go there. Something that I want to make clear to you, right? And something that I want you to use this time for is equipping yourself in being diligent and strengthened and encouraging yourself on who you are. Stop being so clear on what's against you. Let me tell you, because the children of Israel, in crossing the Red Sea, the Bible says that God destroyed their enemies. We understand what the work of the cross has done. We understand that a lot of what we are scared of and frightened of is really just a lot of smoke and mirrors. We spend no time decreeing and speaking over ourselves, I am strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Or maybe that was just me. Maybe that was just me that came out of a season where what was against me really had me spooked for a minute. It jumped me, literally. It blindsided me. And I spent a lot of time in frustration and in fear and in figuring out. And I want to tell you something, because we are like a couple of weeks away from what the linear calendar would say is the very middle of 2026. And I want to ask you, right? We are almost at the midway point. How has this year been for you? What can you tangibly see as a fruit and harvest of you knowing who you are, of your growth, of your truth? I'm very clear, more than ever, on the fact that I am in the in-between. I've had seasons of knowing this before. And like the children of Israel, I migrated back to where I had come from. I couldn't make it all the way into Egypt, but I was very close. I was on the outskirts, not looking forward, not excited about Canaan, not knowing who I am, not understanding the power of God that was with me. But I'm looking back. I'm frustrated. I'm complaining. All I want to talk about is what I'm going through. All I want to talk about is what I've been through. And like I became stuck. I became stuck wandering in the in-between. And for all of us, I am decreeing that the up-leveling for the new is here. I know that the horizon of the promise is here. We're not comparing ourselves to anybody else, because listen, they're not getting as big as we can anyway. Stop looking at your neighbor and what they got and what you don't got. Your unfolding is going to be bigger. I am able in this time of in between to see the collapsing of the old. I see the collapsing of the formers. I am thankful that what was against me cannot get to me. It cannot destroy me. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to be worried about. There is nothing to be frustrated about. This is what you need to be encouraging yourself on a daily basis. Let me tell you, the children of Israel, in their time in the wilderness, they had just enough provision for the day. This is why you need to be encouraging yourself and speaking over yourself and being excited about the new on a daily basis. You have just enough manna. You have just enough resources. You have just enough provision for the day. You may have just enough peace for the day. You may have just enough joy for the day. All I can think about is today. That's enough. That's enough. Stay expectant. Stay excited. Be equipped for the unfolding. Right on the horizon is your new. Right on the horizon is the unfolding of everything that you've been decreeing and praying and spending time in your wanting, in your having concerning. We are in the in between. It's only up from here. It's only up from here. There is no going back. There is no worrying. There's no being preoccupied about other people and what they're doing and what you've been through. Listen, you talking like that keeps you stuck. You talking like that keeps you weak. You talking like that keeps you ineffective. You talking like that's how grasshoppers talk. Like the children of Israel, right? Let me tell you, when Jesus was about to leave, listen, he spoke a strong word. The Bible says to the enemy, you need to speak a strong word to the residue of your time in Egypt, to that pain, to that. You don't need to be talking about situations. You need to be talking to it concerning you and how you feel and what you believe about that stuff. That fear, that frustration, that worry, that anxiety, looking like we out here having to deal with what the world deals with. No, we've escaped that. We can see the unfolding of our promise. We can see the unfolding of abundance. We see the unfolding of joy. We see the unfolding of the harvest. We see the fruit. We've seen the milk. We've seen the honey. We're not worried. We're expectant. We're equipped. We're taking this time in the in-between, and we know what is here.